8th annual, presumably annual, Global Day of Jewish Learning. I'm here in the New York office of the Aleph Society. I'm very happy to be here in this marvelous Global Day of Jewish Learning. And I hope you all had amazing time thus far learning about beauty and ugliness. The notion of beauty and ugliness is based normally on physical terms. It's true that one's perspective on what is beauty, what's ugliness, it really depends on the eye of the beholder. However, there are some notions, some ideas of what we believe is the absolute beauty or the absolute ugliness. Just the other day, I saw several reports about who's the most beautiful woman in the world, symmetrically, not symmetrically, etc., etc. We have this kind of information that we try to collect, where we call the normal beauty, is status, is notions. We know that throughout history, the concept of what is beautiful changed. If it's long hair, short hair, different kind of clothing. If we look around in museums who depict the 14th, 15th, 16th century, you'll never see women wearing tights. You'll see men wearing tights and leggings, wearing also extremely high heels. Very famous, the French kings, monarchy. That's where they look. The men actually wear things that might consider today more feminine. Might. However, the topic we have is what we consider ugly beauty in the Bible on our text. We know that in order to achieve prayer, to achieve this connection that one might have with God, one need to have appreciation of what we have around. The prayer, as we have it today, is divided to 5 stages. An introduction, which basically, let's say on the first 10 pages of the text, basically is a reference to mundane things. I breathe, I eat, etc., etc. Then the text of the Siddur prayer book is going on in the limb about 7 amazing psalms describing the beauty of the creation around us. True, they were meant originally to people who are agriculturally based, people who are in the field, people who have time to appreciate nature. It's in a way, it's very sad that we don't have it today. Isaac Asimov, in one of his books, The Foundation, described the punishment and forcing young children in the future to go once a year, once in the lifetime, all the way up to the skyscrapers to just see what the sun looked like. Because everything have such a huge skyscrapers, and you don't see ever the real sun because everything is climate control. The text going on in very, very, very mundane and very, very basic description of what the world looked like. How beautiful the sky is, how beautiful the earth, how beautiful the angels, how beautiful the stars, and so on and so forth. And it's almost a prerequisite. In order to achieve the next stage of prayer, one have to appreciate, first of all, the physical domain we live in. We can't start praying or appreciating God, so to speak, without appreciating the creation. This motive of beauty and ugliness is appearing also from beginning of the creation. When God referred to the creation, please, our tradition, 6 days of the creation, God, every time you see that everything is good, he said, oh, how great it is, and tov me'od, and this is absolutely great, absolutely very good. And I'm not sure he's only referring about the functionality of the system, as much as he really appreciated his hand creation, the beauty as an artist almost of what he managed to, what are the things that he managed to create. I think he's in a way in this text is we have the appreciation of God's physical creation. We do know by the mystical side of Judaism, by Hasidus, by Kabbalah, that every word and every text and every issue have, even the physical description, of course, have a spiritual and more deep meaning behind it, describing even higher level of beauty, more inner, more hidden value. But in general, we're actually talking about a physical impression. It's true that we don't think that beauty is what the only reason we function, the only reason we appreciate things. But in a way, we have to find a way to appreciate what we have around us, and even in a way, make it beautiful. We find it with people who might suffer from some kind of illness or some kind of affliction. When the first time you see them, you might be reluctant. They may be not as appealing. They maybe have some blemish that's very clear. If you spend enough time, if you really start to appreciate a person, you see hopefully his good nature, his or her good nature, and their inner self. You're no longer just looking at the outside beauty. You're looking for the inside, which again implore the question of a one significant. Really, what I want to talk about is a very famous song. It's called Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs. Shir HaShirim is a text that is definitely very unique in the Bible. One of the only texts that we have in general that is on the lines of erotic love song. Obviously, I don't think anybody today uses this kind of terminology to anybody. If you describe anybody like this today, you're probably going to end up locked up. But they had more freedom those days. It seems that the description of Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs, is a really physical description. Yes, it's a small book. It's not the most lengthy of books. It's not the most, it's not Psalms or Job that are going on and on and on. It's really relatively short book, but it's beautiful. It's really described physically what is a physical attraction, and then it doesn't stop there. Don't misunderstand me. It doesn't stop only the physical attraction. It does talk about the real love between the lover and the beloved, the niece and the uncle, whatever the terminology they use there. We're going to get into this, but it's really describing very physically. There's an interesting parallel to this in the prophecies, the negative prophecies, the prophecy of destruction of the temple, that both, especially Jeremiah, Yirmiyahu, when he described the situation of Jewish people, described him as a miserable woman, as a miserable person, as a widower, someone who's wearing black. He's considering specifically as a negative thing. Very interesting. Again, he's using an allegory of physical existence. So, Shir HaShirim, I'll do a lot of things. This is our new book, 5 Megillot. It's in Hebrew, just came out. With a lovely publisher, Koren, available on Amazon, but also in any other your local bookstore. Anyway, the 5 Megillot, which we are reading traditionally, the Ashkenazi Jews read them throughout the Jewish holidays of the year. We read them. The most famous one is Purim, Megillat Esther, and the second one is Tisha B'Av, which we're reading Eicha, the prophecy of lamentation, we lament the temple. Then you have in Shavuot, you read Ruth, story of King David and his upbringing. Then you have Sukkot, when you read Leviticus, right? You read Kohelet. And the last one, Shir HaShirim, which you read in Pesach. Might be confusing, not accustomed to, but the general idea is we read them throughout the year. The idea is that those 5 Megillot, each one of them is a very unique story. They're not your typical Bible story. these debates about each one of them, except Echad, we know exactly when it was said. Each one of them has a story that we're not really sure when it happened. We're not sure if the Ruth story happened 200 years before King David or 150 years before King David. And what was this political and historical context of it? Megillat Esther is a bigger problem. We don't even know the names, the addresses, even though it's supposed to be a public event. We have no other records of it, which make it very unique. The Kohelet was known to be a very depressing book in a way, but it's very, very deep and very, I think it's the opposite of depressing. I think there's a lot of meaning into it. Famous line is vanity, vanity, everything is vanity, or everything is vain, and therefore nothing should sustain the test of time. Henceforth, I write a book that will sustain the test of time. Very typical. It's also very not Jewishly written. It seems a lot of influences from around. Clearly, our tradition referred to it as King Solomon work. And so Shir Shirim. Shir Shirim apparently did not only irk modern readers, even in time of the sages, talking about immediately after the destruction of the temple, the sages are actually debating if to keep it in or out the Bible. Is it part of the canon? Is not part of the canon? Now, obviously, we clearly understand why. And the book really described way too physically male and female attributes and what is the ultimate look of beauty. For example, one of the things that's very, very interesting to see vis-a-vis modern culture, the lady, the girl, the beloved in the story, she's running outside and she's looking for her lover. She's walking all around the streets of Jerusalem and she's saying to the guards, "Don't look at me. Don't put your eyes upon me because I'm blackened. I'm dark. Because I was outside and I had the infliction of being suntan." Apparently, from her perspective of beauty, being unblemished, or so to speak, on no suntan, that was the goal. We found it, obviously, there are people who like to get suntan, people who don't like to get suntan. But it seems very popular today. We have some time places to, you go outside to the beach and that's what you see. In French, it's called faire bronze, becoming bronze. It's so traditionally done. So it's very interesting to see that today this have an importance of beauty. We consider it as beautiful. You have it in many movies. You want to see how he or she look good, it's when they're Santa. Apparently, this particular girl in the Bible, who I believe she's very famous, that was one of the girls of King Shlomo, and she says to him, "Don't look at me, I'm dark, because the sun was upon me." Really changed throughout the years of what we had before, what we have now. We found these things in other places. We see it, especially in arts. We see very clearly if it's the hairstyle, clothing style, size of the bodies. The models of the 14th, 15th century were not similar to the models today, in general. And they were considered the fatter you are, the more beautiful you are. That was it, and we can see it in the art. Look at all the major art pieces. That's where we've been depicted. And it's a different issue. Many also seem like more always, for whatever reason, always had more clothes on. But it was the issues of art. So it's very interesting. This Shir Shirim, because he did not make it in the first time, Rabbi Akiva, who is in a way is a really amazingly fascinating story of how he came to be and how he became part of what we do. And Rabbi Akiva has one of those amazing lines, you should love every fellow person like yourself, every fellow Jew, and depends how you read it. But also there's another line. It says, Chaviv Adam Shenivra B'Tzelem, raised the man who's created in God's image. Therefore, everybody should respect other human being. And then he's going on and said, Havivim you, Haviva, then he's going back to Jewish people that they are higher because Banim Atem Lashem Logichem is going to a higher level. But he's really referring, even though it was the time, or the time of oppression, time of that the local Gentiles were not nice to the Jews, especially not when he died in a horrible death by the Romans. Still, his appreciation of mankind, because he was created in the image of God. Again, image of God is again back to the same notion of beauty. God is the ultimate beauty, like God is ultimate in everything. God is infinite. And because infinite is in every attribute that he has, if we're referring God as perfectionism, as God is flawless, he's flawless also in his beauty. Hence, Chaviv Adam Shnivra B'Tselem, we have to appreciate humanity because it was created in the image of God. It's a brilliant concept. Again, starting physical perception. So Rabbi Akiva, throughout the process, he's the one pushing this book to come in. He said, not that generally we look in the books of the Bible as they're holy books, and you should definitely hold down, you should kiss them, or whatever the custom you follow, or you should treat them with respect. You should not throw them away. You should really care about them. But no, Shir Shirim is Kodesh Kodashim. If all the other text is Kodesh, is holy, Shir Shirim is holy of holies. It is way beyond what we consider regular text. That's very peculiar. Sage, he does know what a text is talking about. Clearly, you can't ignore it. That's the way he described physically the relationship. Again, if we look at Rabbi Akiva, the answer is very simple. His love to his wife, very famous Rachel, was a very physical love. He cared about her so much. And a lot of the issues in their relationship, at least the way we perceive them, were physical issues. She is the one throughout the process that keep talking about the spiritual concept of a relationship. She said, not enough that you are the strongest, the biggest, you need to be more. I don't care about the money I have, I don't have. I want to become a great sage. I want to go and teach. I want to go and learn. Rabbi Akiva became rich in that. It was not, he didn't stay in the poor level that his wife had to sell her hair for wigs, shekels. It was not at this level. They moved on. Famous story, Rabbi Akiva came back and he did, in order to appreciate his wife, he made for her what we call Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. Made we're not really clear where to put it, but it was like a small jewelry in the shape of Jerusalem. Not sure it was put on the forehead or on a necklace, as a neck, or necklace, or a bow, but it was one of the two. It was very famous and became a very popular jewelry in Jerusalem because of what he gave to Rachel, and of course, the sacrifice that they both gave for the sake of God. Again, it was not that. I mean, the end of the day, Rabbi Akiva died horribly by the Romans. But he looks in this text, and he looks in the text of Shir Shirim, and he finds it that this is not just regular holiness, is beyond that. So, one of the notions of beauty is, as I mentioned earlier, is the eye of the beholder. I will not spend time looking at beauty. I will not have time to appreciate beauty around me. I'll never appreciate it. I'll never get any farther. If I don't have the time and patience to look around and see the beauty, we'll just pass through. It says that the Louvre in France, Paris, has something like 30,000 pieces of art, some huge amount. If you want to spend the time going through that entire thing, you have to spend basically 3 years every day, whatever, there's a huge number. Now, of course, most people do not go through it. Most people have what we call the quick tour. You see the Mona Lisa, the Victory, and Venus of Milo. That's it. This is your Louvre experience. You went in, take 47 minutes, check. You go from one to the other and you take pictures and great, you did the tourist thing. But you sit down there and you really appreciate the different pictures. If it's Rembrandt, if it's Tizian, if it's Michelangelo, Raphael, you go and sit down and you appreciate it. It's a whole different game. But you have to spend the time to do so. I remember when I was very, very young, not young, but young, 2 years ago, 30, I was in a museum with my parents. And I remember, I was younger, a bit less patient than I'm today. And both my father and my mother were arguing about a picture depicting a scene. They argue for a certain amount of time if the coloring was better in this particular depiction of this scene in the Bible or another one. They argue if it was Raphael depiction or the other one that we saw 3 rooms before, but we as kids thought it's completely useless argument and let's go out of here. But for them, was really the point. You had to, they still have the appreciation. They can really deal with the coloring, the shades, and what you see in the picture and what you depicted in this. But to really define this is important for them. They can make it theirs. And I think this is really the lesson from Shir Shirim. Yes, it's true that the description of how she looks and how he looks are very, very physical. Everything from the neck down has been described. Sometimes everything above the neck has been described. Teeth, nose, ears, breasts, thighs, you name it, it's mentioned here. But the idea, I think, was to represent how much this couple, this imaginary couple or real couple, depends on how you interpret this text, really appreciate each other. They can really describe each other, the most intimate parts. They can really describe it in a way that it's really moving everybody who reads it. One of the most touching moments in this book is this. Again, the story uses as a meditation before prayer, usually in the high holidays or before major event. It represents the yearning of the girl to her beloved, and it's an amazing story. She's going to sleep. She's going to sleep, she's taking clothes off, and she's going to bed. And she hears a knock on the door. Now, again, I don't know what was the social acceptance, if it was like Romeo and Juliet or it was like any other movie, and they throw stones and to get their attention. But there's a discussion between him and her, and she said to him, I'm already in pajama. I don't have to get ready. I don't want to go out of bed. I'm very happy the way I am. Don't disturb me. He said that he's like clearly but he was not as happy with his answer, so he's trying to open the door. He's again, I presume the locks were not as developed as these days. He's putting his hand through the door. Immediately when the girl sees his hand, she's yearning for him. And he's calling her still outside the door, please open for me the door, my beloved one, my dog, my beautiful, my sister, my beloved. He really going on. I mean, again, most people today say that it will look very weird, but that was the poetic language. I mean, you really described who you're about to meet. I love you like I love my wife, I love my girlfriend, like my sister. Each one of those loves, he just said, this is the way I like to have a relationship with you. Each one of those levels, I want to be one with you. He just said, I'm in bed. Don't want to go out. Which happens a lot with young people who are in love. The regret comes immediately after, and she opens the door and she runs after him. But it's too late. He's gone. But the idea behind it, when one reads it in a more meaningful way, When ones go through the process, there's a couple, got together. Then, from whatever reason, they're separate. One of them is going to sleep, which represent anything. A sleep can be permanent, it can be temporary. Sleep can be an excuse. Sleep can be just part something in life. But the other side doesn't want to have sleep. I don't want to have it on all the time. Have the relationship going on and on and on to really enjoy the beauty of the relationship. The other side is not recouping it. It's not willing to facilitate it. So the pain that you feel when you read this text that actually, okay, I got the point, I'm getting up, it's too late. It's gone. He's vanishing. That's where the story goes. But she's running around the street of Jerusalem and she's meeting the guard. The guard of Jerusalem those days were apparently brutes. Almost trying to beat her up. She's like, stop. I'm one of the matrons of Jerusalem. Don't hit me. Don't think I'm trying to do anything. I'm looking for my lover. I'm looking for the person I'm yearning to be with. And they're asking her, who is he? Okay, describe him. So she's, in one way, she's giving a description that is really a police, sketch completely, eyes like, etc., what she's doing. And the other side, she described what he was for her, how great he was. And every time he walks around, her heart is moving, her stomach is yearning. This description of love, of course, the sages are old interpretations dealing with this duality of interpretation here. We have one side that's really described a love connection, physical as it can get. Can't get more physical in this relationship. And automatically, of course, the reason this story was brought in the Bible, the reason it was really brought in the Bible, yes, was definitely to teach us that can be a physical relationship. The relationship between man and woman is an important one. Clearly. That's what it described. But there's, of course, also a spiritual part of it. But it's very easy to do the leap and think of this relationship, the way it's described here, is a relationship between God and his people, between us to God. But there's another notion. It's not a one-way street. A lot of time, back to my Siddur point earlier, I pray. I might even go outside and enjoy a beautiful mountain, which is what does it for me, because I go to a mountain, preferably snow. Can't get snow, just regular mountain will do. And appreciate creation. Again, recommend to everybody, a lot of nice hikes. You walk around, you appreciate creation. Then you pray after that. It's move you. You feel you're part of the creation. Obviously, don't do it too loud. They might call somebody, but whatever you do, it's part of the notion. How often I get a response back? Very little, if any. Again, better not to speak about the response I get from God. End up in the Psalms. It's really not, Gotham City, but it's different. Really prefer not to get there. But in the story of Shir Shirim, which is really the ultimate concept of beauty, is a discussion between him and her. She's running after him, he's running after her. They're going back and forth. They want to be together. There's a desire here. If we take that desire, take that concept, implement it to our life, we need to have a relationship like this with God. Clearly, we have a relationship with these people around us. Obviously, clearly. It's much easier with people around us because we can play the same game. If this text is supposed to be the guideline of relationships, we have a lot about to go. It's almost a talk about chivalry and romance, like the old time, like the old school. Bring people together in the old time. Really, you have to, when you date somebody, you should really appreciate them. Really, physically, emotionally, spiritually. How many times you can say, look, I was yearning and you knock on the door? How many times I'll run after you in the streets of Jerusalem, New York, Paris, Rome, London, whenever it is you're running after somebody, how often you do that? It's almost like he's yearning to implore this kind of relationship, this kind of beautiful, really, really beautiful notion is real. Can't ignore it. But our issue is how to bring it to our life vis-a-vis God. I can easily imagine, I mean, movies do a very good job depicting what love looks like and what obsession look like, and what's supposed to be the ultimate gift of love, which we have, of course, Romeo and Juliet for this, but there's many other stories like that. How we do this with prayer, how we do this with God. That is really the question. The question, this is, in a way, this is very easy. Reading a text is whatever you do with it. Just reading a text and you close it and it's over. Yeah, it's true, this text is very beautiful because clearly a picture in it, there's a commentary. I'm not biased at all, but it's really the challenge. Challenge is to find this text, find this story of beauty, and bring it to your heart, bring it to your soul, bring it something that really will move you. Still, with functionality in the real world. We're not asking you to, tear off your clothes and run around like a crazy man and a woman in Jerusalem. It's really to find a way that the beauty is real. Appreciation of what you have around is real. So traditionally, how one does it, one have to go and contemplate. One have to go outside from his or her world and to meditate, to actually find a way to bring those notions, this particular concept of beauty, forward. Now, it's not easy, and one has to work hard on it. But when you read the text, I think that's the reason this text, if you look, for example, on the Sephardi custom, they read it every Friday. Read this entire Megillah, which is 10 chapters, every Friday. Because that's really supposed to give the appreciation of Friday night, the appreciation of Shabbat. Because you really describe relationship, describe it, okay, now after I had the whole week and everything is going well, now I have to stop. I have to really appreciate these 2 moments of glory that I have with God, and I can appreciate it. Each. Now, the other thing is very, very interesting in this book, Shir Shirim, is that it's almost never over. The two lovers never find themselves. They really don't get together after. It's almost a desire. It's almost a yearning for the future. It never ends like that. It doesn't have the happy ending or negative ending. Nothing bad happens to either one of them. But they're looking for it. They're looking, keep going and keep looking. For me, when I read this text, and again, I don't do it as regular as maybe one should, it's coming those times that I need to appreciate what's around. When you take this perspective and you really trying to use it, it's making those notions of beauty and ugliness real. So that's one of the notions of beauty and ugliness that we find. The other notion we have is the description in general of feelings, really the way it's been used to describe God. God of anger, so it's haronako, is the wrath. He's using his right hand for a very physical description of God throughout the process of the Bible. Again, the reason is that humanity, it's very hard for us to relate to God that have no physical dimension. As God has no physical dimension, we have a problem. Therefore, we found this way, this almost allegorical perspective, give God all these emotions or descriptive issues, how we describe God, to bring it forward. That's part of the beauty of it. The revengeful God of Israel, as people like to say, is not different than the kind God of Israel. It's the same guy, you dead, whatever. Same creature, same God. But we as humans need to find a way to describe it. When Jeremiah described the widow, Almanah, Jerusalem, as a widow that is dying, is basically running after her kids because he's gone, he does it to describe the terrible situation people are in. Use the beauty concept, use the concept of physical attraction, physical being, to describe something that everybody can relate to. Clearly, when Shir Shirim was written, that was the way people talk. That was the way people describe something. And we can see it on stories around Shakespeare. Take other authors. Shakespeare's a bit older and a bit later than him. It's all the same description. The girl living in a big house, she's a part of a noble house, or she's exactly that, she's very poor. But in general, same description. The boy come from a royal family. It was part of the style of this time. There were, of course, different styles, different times, different rules applied. To find this way, to find this path to what we have, we need to remember this. When I read our text, and it happens more often, or maybe not as often as I would like, it's always a different way, always a different time, always a different reading. I can read the same text today, tomorrow, the next day, and every time I'll find something else the text talk about. That is the unique thing about live text. The benefit of, especially the Tanakh and the Bible, is because the language is so old, we have the privilege, in a way, to play with it. We have the privilege to appreciate the beauty of it. I'm sure the modern interpretation of the text is not the way it used to be. Very famous, that moment, the name of the book, is Isaac Asimov's description of science fiction book that they find a way to resurrect the dead. One of the people to resurrect is Shakespeare. This particular modern 25th century Shakespeare, his pet peeve is to go to university and listen to English literature professor describing what Shakespeare thought when he's Shakespeare sitting there in the class as enjoying it. So one of the episodes in the book describing, okay, so he's coming there and he's coming to his friend and saying, "You're nuts. Why are you going to listen to this? It's fascinating. I never thought about this. I never thought about it. Kidding me? I thought, romantic love stories, they're both dead, finished, that's over. No, there's a reason here, there's this spiritual concept, and she meant this, and he did this, and the family, and the business, and people depict. No. For me, maybe it was just a simple story. In a way, what he's saying is, in this book, what I'm trying to say, some of the beauty is very simple. It says what it says. It describes a woman body. Describe man body, it means physical body. And it's fine. Some people get moved from it the way it is. Some people need a spiritual interpretation. When referring to her neck to being long is referring to the description of how Torah needs to be reached. And it's high and above. I can go on. They says that before Moses died, when Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, God showed him all the generations ahead. And he went to hear a class given by Rabbi Akiva, back to the hero story, and he said, "Don't get it, don't understand." He felt, in a way, Moshe Rabbeinu described, he felt a bit out of place. And God tells him, "Don't be depressed, don't be upset. This is all you. This is what people took your text and interpret it. This is what they took the beauty of your words, your 5, 6 words, and make them so unique. Part of what we do is we have Talmud. Something small we do, it's a commentary on the Talmud. And throughout my life, I've been asked, why do you need to learn Talmud? Really? It's a long book, talking about 2,711 pages, give or take, here and there. Very lengthy, very complex. What is the purpose of it? So, obviously, you have to learn it. It's very important. We know that no Jewish community that did not let Talmud survive, etc., etc. But one of the beautiful things about Talmud is the unique ability of the Jewish people to take a concept and play with it till the nth degree, to play with them every possible direction to find if it's a loophole, if it's not a description, if it's another layer, just to find what it is. They spend hours. It seems like the Talmud Sum goes over years of conversation between sages. Someone takes 300 years to get to the conclusion what it is. And this thing never happened. That's the best part of it. Talmud in Brackets and we just finished. And Dafyomi described the rules of Ben Sorer Moreh, which is one of the ugliest unpleasantness in the Bible. Described, if you have a child who's not yet a man, who's a man and a girl, or between the age 12 and 5 months, often 6 months, and he become a thief, criminal, he's insulting his parents, he's hurting the neighbors, his parents can go and execute him. Literally, the parents can go and take him to the court and say, our son doesn't hear us, our son doesn't listen to what we tell him, let's get rid of him. It's a terrible discussion. Now, the Talmud go over 5 or 6 pages of discussion. The details. You need to be 12 and 12 and a half, about how much you need to eat, how much you have to drink, how much you have to steal. You have to steal from his parents, he has to kill his parents, he has to kill his neighbors. He has to describe it. They're going through many, many layers of questions and answer describing this ugliness. Obviously, it's a terrible thing. The parents have to come and get rid of their own child. It's terrible on every possible level. But it's spending hours and hours, that's what we see, maybe even generations, discussing the concept of a naughty child. Right, and then going on, the discussion is beautiful. The Talmud it's really one of the most learned texts because everybody discusses it because it's such a horrible thing, and going on and on. And then Talmud concludes, never happened. What do you mean never happened? No, it never happened. You see there, I understand. I just spent, you're learning it in school. You spend, let's say, 3 weeks, 4 weeks learning this text, and the last line is never happened. That is the beauty, in a way, that's the intrinsic value of learning Talmud. We allowed to talk about nothing, appreciate the beauty of it. We allowed to go through all the layers of the conversation just for conversation's sake. It's almost like doing, in a way, a programming of computer program. You do one, yes, I know it's 1 0 1 0 1 0, but you have to find all the 1 and 0s possible in order to do a certain functionality. That is the really beauty of the Talmud. The Talmud gave us the tool to move forward. However, I would like to suggest this same thing about biblical text. We find in the Torah portion of the coming week is Parashat Toldot. Parashat Toldot is the only parasha dealing with a forefather, patriarch Yitzchak. It's terrible. The man was a star, right? Avram Avinu waited for him for 100 years to be born. He had one, and we know he stopped nursing. We know that about him. We know he had circumcision. Then he was tried to be sacrificed in Har Moriah. And then he got married when he was 40, and that's it. Then basically, a few minutes later, his sons are born, and almost a story about Isaac doesn't exist. One has to ask it. The man lived 175 years, 7 years. He lived for a long time. What we know about him is nothing. We know about him literally worth less than 3 weeks in the Torah portion. Nothing. Compared to what the girl Shirin get, we know much more about her than we know about our forefather Isaac. Yitzchak Avinu has almost disappeared. He's the beauty about him that we can talk about him as much as we want because we have much less information about him than we have about Avram Avinu or Yaakov Avinu, or even the wives. We definitely know more about Sarah, and even Rivka has this amazing line that we had last week in Torah portion. Rivka has this amazing story. She was very young, a young teenager, and she's making the decision to leave her parents and their lovely brother to go to live with this strange man, remote cousin, because it apparently was so bad at home. But she's making this decision, and she has a being, and she does things that it's like nothing. Even his interaction with his own kids seems to be almost forcible on him. Rebecca is pushing him to do certain things. She's showing him, in a way, again, happened to be the topic of our class, the beauty of Yaakov. She's showing him the ugliness of Esau. There comes a point in time when Yaakov has to get married, which is the end of the Torah portion. She comes to her husband, Rebecca comes to Isaac and said, if Jacob is going to marry one of the locals, can't leave like that. He's going to kill me. Typical Jewish mothers start over there. I'm going to die. So Yaakov is standing back to the family, to her. Again, she has to show that Yitzchak. He doesn't see it. The text of Shir Shrim have the same thing. The description is really much more made by the female voice and the male voice in the Shir Shrim. She's the one describing. She's the one making the decision. She's the one who's really, in the end, we're trying to open the door, but that's about the extent of it. But she's the one who's running after him. She's the one doing the notion. That's, in a way, what we do. We have this reflection of light from God from time to time, but we have to do the work. We have to spend the time. We have to find the inner beauty of it. We find the regular beauty. And to find these right things, we have to dwell into our text. When one look in the Bible is a set, is a book that seems so long. Really, if one take it as a part, take it as a small portion, it can be done fairly easily over a year time. Not really a lot of things. And today, again, any commentaries, available. You can use it. Learn how to appreciate it. Learn how to make this beautiful text, not a very ugly text, part of what we do, part of what we believe in, part of what we make a life from it. We take lessons from it. We take notion from it. I want to give one more example. It's very politically was used for thousands of years. One of the stories here is that eventually the girl is giving up. She's basically telling her friends, I make you take an oath that you're not going to awaken the love by yourself. Wait till he comes back to be awakened. Don't let me pursue him anymore. Let him come to me. Swear to me, O daughters of Jerusalem, that you're not going to awaken the love. Let it be. He's gone. It's finished. He's not here. I'm not doing anything before he comes back. In the early discussion, if to go back to the land of Israel or not, the Zionistic and pre-Zionistic concept, that was one of the arguments based on Talmud verse, that maybe we have to wait till God calls us to go back. So really serious question. People use that text from here, which is a beautiful text, saying, look, I gave up everything I can. can't do anymore, can't run after him, and use it to describe the relationship to the land of Israel, saying you can't go back to Israel before God come back. Now, personally, the way I read it is exactly the opposite. It is a relationship. The idea is that she's sending a girl, she's sending the girl, the heroine of the story, she's sending really her friends outside and say, when you meet him, tell him not saying anything. It's really up to him to wake up. Yeah, I did my job. Now it's your turn. That's his turn to do this. I think that's what we all desire. We, in a way, we like that our relationship, if it's with God, one way, or our people close to us, be their job, be their responsibility. And sometimes you have to run after the other person and make the effort. And sometimes you have to do the opposite. Sometimes you give, sometimes you take. Sometimes you have to show love, and sometimes you hold the love. Again, if there's two sides, there's two kinds. Again, I don't want to say beauty and ugliness. It depends on the height of the beholder again, how you perceive it. But love is not simple. And same with beauty, ugliness is not simple. It really depends on how you perceive things. If you perceive things in one way, they become beautiful. If you see things differently, you see them ugly. Modern art is a perfect example of this. Many times in the ticket you go to go into a nice gallery and these modern art, and you see them like, really? A block, says a block. Well, my favorite is one of family members who was very popular in LA, and he sells benches. On the bench says bench, and people love it. I think it's great. That's what they want, and it's modern art. Some people think it's the most beautiful thing in the world. Some people think it's crazy, but that is the beauty of it. Beauty has this notion, and the Bible is one of those texts that brings it up constantly. The way I perceive things, the way you perceive things, the way we perceive things, people, is completely depends on who you are and what you are, and what is the time frame that you live in. This notion has tremendous impact on the way Judaism is moving. Sometimes things were permitted 1,000 years ago, are no longer permitted. Things that they were prohibited 1,000 years ago now become permitted. It's up to us. It's up to the generation. It's the same notion of beauty and ugliness. We have every generation. You have to find it. In a way, the concept of eye of the beholder is not just on really beauty and ugliness, but it's really about everything around us. It's keep all the time. It's ever changing. We have to find a way that we look at it the most beautiful way. Thank you.